So today's video is going to show you how to do the first oil change and gearbox oil change on the Can-Am Outlander. So we got the parts that we need here. Got the BRP filter, specifically for that engine. This little cartridge filter, paper element. And we've got the synthetic gear oil, 75W140 for the gearbox, and 2 quarts of the full synthetic oil for the engine. That's all we really need in parts. I'll show you the tools in a minute. And if you come around here and take a look at the console on the bike, I'll just show you. Got 9 hours and 58 minutes on it right now, so it's time for that first 10-hour oil change. Let's just have a look and see what that works out to. 176.3 kilometers. 9 hours 58 minutes, and I'm going to put the bike up on the stand to change the oil, because that'll be easier. But we'll start here with, while it's down on the ground, we're going to take the seat and the console off. So before I put the bike up on the stand, while it's still on the ground and it's easy to reach, we're going to take the first 2 parts off, the seat and the console. The seat's pretty easy. We just reach behind, squeeze the little handle, take the seat off. We'll get that out of the way. And then the console is this piece here. It's easy to remove. We just grasp this handle and then pull up sharply, pull the legs out of the grommets there, and then we can just disconnect it, and we'll get that out of the way. And then we'll put it up on the stand so we can take off the side panel and the right footrest, and we need to take those pieces off so we can access the gearbox oil drain and fill, and also the oil filter. So I'll put it up on the stand and we'll get right back to you. So here's some of the tools we're going to need. Obviously a drain pan for the oil. We've got a 17mm socket, that's for the engine oil drain, on a 3/8 drive ratchet with an extension, make it easy to reach. I've got a 10mm wrench and a 10mm socket. I'm going to cheat and use a small impact driver, but you can use a 1/4" drive ratchet manually with the 10mm socket, and that's for taking off the footrest panel. We've got a pair of side cutters. I find these the best tool for taking out the plastic rivets, which we need to get the footrest panel and the side panel off. And there's a couple of screws there also that take a Torx bit. So I've got a T35, I think it is, T35 Torx bit, and then just a rag and a funnel. And of course our oil and filter. That's probably about all we need, except we will need a tool for the gearbox drain and fill plugs, but I won't know what size that is until we get in there. Before we take off the side panel and the footrest panel, I'm just going to go underneath and get that engine oil drain plug removed, start that oil draining. Before we do that, so the air can come in, we're going to remove the dipstick fill plug for the engine oil. That's right here on the left side of the bike, just above the brake pedal. So we'll take that out, and then we'll grab our 17mm socket and our drain pan, and we'll zip underneath and undo the engine oil drain bolt. This is where the engine oil drain plug is located. It's on the right side of the bike towards the front. It's got a 17mm head, so we'll get up in there with our socket and just loosen that. Try and get our oil pan underneath. So this is the drain plug removed. It has a little magnet core on it there to collect fuzz, and you can see after the first 10 hours there's just a little bit of metallic debris, sort of a gray metallic paste. That's not at all unusual, doesn't indicate that there's a problem. We want to clean that all off before we reinstall it. just take a rag or a cloth and wipe around and get all that fuzz off. Once we've done that and all the oil is drained out, we can reinstall the drain plug. Make sure we do that before we add any new oil. So the next part to come off is the side panel here on the right. There's 3 plastic rivets we need to take out to get it off. One here in the middle, and then if we move towards the rear, underneath the rear fender, there's one tucked away beside the gas tank up under there, and then moving back to the front, there's one up underneath the front fender here. And if we come back to the middle one, I'll show you how I like to get those out. As I mentioned before, I like to use side cutters because they have this curved jaw which you can use to lever with. And the sharp jaws, as long as you don't squeeze them too tight and cut the rivet, are actually pretty useful for getting down into the little open grooves like that. And just give it a gentle squeeze, and then you can use those curved jaws to pop it out. That gets the center stud out, and then you can do the same thing with the main body there. You get the curved jaws behind it, just lever it out, and they come out pretty darn easily. With all the plastic rivets removed, in order to get the side panel out, we start at the back and we pull sort of up and towards us to release the rear tab there. Then if we move forward, there's another tab here that needs to be released, and then finally there's one up here front. We pull that out, and then the panel just comes up and away, and the side panel is off. The next thing we need to do is remove the footrest panel, so we get this whole piece out of the way. There's a few fasteners needed for this one. We'll start with the 5 down here in the footwell itself. There's one here, one here, one here, one here, and one here. On mine, these 2 here with the silver looking bolts, that's because of my aftermarket skid plate set. If you've got a stock setup, you'll just be able to undo them from the top. I'm going to have to go underneath with a socket and put a wrench here on this nut. But we'll take those 5 off first, and then we'll show you the remaining ones. With those removed, we've got another bolt, 10mm hex head back underneath the front fender. It's probably going to be hard to see on the video, but it's just forward of the gas tank here. It's 10mm into the frame. So there is indeed a nut on the back side of that one that you need to get a 10mm wrench on. The next fastener is a Torx head, T35 Torx head. It's just up under the lip of the fender, connects the fender to the footwell panel, so we get in there with our Torx driver. I'm using a Torx bit on a ratchet so I can actually fit it in there. And we'll loosen this one, and then once we get that screw out, there's another Torx fastener up front and 2 plastic rivets. The front Torx bolt that holds the fender to the footwell plate is right here, just behind the front tire. Again, it's a T35 Torx bit. So we'll get in here with our Torx driver, loosen that up, and take that screw out. And there's also a washer with it to keep those together. And then up front, may be hard to see on the video, but there's a couple of plastic rivets on the front here. One here, and one down here. So again, with our trusty side cutters, pop those out. With all the fasteners removed, there's just tabs on the fender that you need to release from the footwell panel. The front ones, you sort of reach under the lip here and squeeze them to the front to disengage them. You'll see what they look like as they come out here. So that's the tabs that I'm referring to. There's 3 there. Get that loose in the front. In the back, there's the same 3 tabs between the fender and the footwell. And again, you just squeeze these ones to the rear and work the rear fender up and out. Get those tabs released. And now the footwell panel should come out of position. There we go. So there, we've got the footwell panel removed. And with that removed, we can see on the gearbox the parts that we need to get to. You might have to come around from the front angle. This one here, plastic one, is the fill port for the gearbox, and then down just beneath that is the gearbox drain plug. So we'll need to pull that. They both look like they're 13 or 14 mil. We'll need to pull that one to drain the gearbox oil, and then refill it through that one. As far as the oil filter goes, that's located in front of the engine here. See, this is the cover, just above the water pump housing, just below the front cylinder. Right here, there's 3 screws holding that on. We'll take that off, and that'll give us access to replace the oil filter. So next thing I'll do is I'll start the gearbox oil draining, and then we'll get into that oil filter housing. So the gearbox drain plug, the plastic one, is 15 millimeter. It's damn near impossible to get a wrench in there and get any kind of motion on it. I found the easiest way, once you get it cracked loose, is to sort of come at it like this and then loosen it off a bit at a time, and eventually you get it loose enough you can get in there with your fingers and get that removed. Pull this out. Make sure you don't lose the O-ring that's on there. Put that in a safe place. Now the drain is equally difficult to get to. 13 millimeter. I found the easiest way with the closed end of a box wrench, and come in from behind the rear brake master cylinder and get in there and crack it loose, like so. And again, you're going to get oily. You're going to get your fingers in there and undo that. And we're very likely going to drop it in the oil pan just as it comes loose. Fingers, nope. Yep, there we go. Knew that would happen. Anyways, let the gearbox oil drain, and then we'll move on. So to remove the oil filter cover, it's an 8 millimeter socket, and I just crack these loose. They're not terribly tight, like that. And then just to speed the job, just move the driver here and pull the screws out. cover comes off. A little oil spillage. Watch for the gasket there, or O-ring I should say, on the inside of the cover. Protect that. And then the filter itself. Note the way that it comes out. So you put the original back in the same way. It's got the where it says Rotax and the rubber gasket that goes in towards the engine. It's about time this one was changed, as you can see. We discard that. The new filter we place back in the way the old one came out. Put the cover back on, put the screws in and torque them to spec. I'll list the specs below in the comments for the video section. And then of course we'll install all the drain plugs that we took out, fill the engine oil back up, fill the gearbox with the required amount of oil. The gearbox, I should say, I should mention, I think it's about 400 milliliters it takes, and you fill it till it comes out of the hole, or level with the hole. The engine oil goes in here, obviously. It's about 2 liters it takes, and you fill that up until it comes to the right level on the dipstick. And that's it for our first engine oil and gearbox oil change.